Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Chopping It Up with Ramel. Listen, we're going to get right into it. Happy Thursday to all of you out there, and I appreciate you on the continuous support and watching the show. You can follow me on YouTube. Please go to Chopping It Up with Ramel. Follow me, like it. You can also follow me on Facebook. But we're going to get right into it. NFL. We got a new set of games coming upon us starting tonight. And as you all know, I do follow the Eagles. I am an Eagle fan along with the Jets. And I think, although this is week 4, game 4 of the season, by far, this is the biggest game of the season thus far for the Philadelphia Eagles. I personally believe a loss tonight may end their season. A loss tonight by the Eagles may lose their season. It's a tough game. It's on the road. They go into Green Bay. I'm not a firm believer of Green Bay. I've said this once before. I know he's great, Aaron Rodgers, but I think he's overrated. Good morning to Roderick. He's tuning in. I know he's great, but I still think he's overrated. I think the Eagles playing desperate, knowing that their season possibly is on the line, cannot start the season at 1-3, has a must-win game in week 4. Has a must-win game in week 4. So I look for the Eagles to come out on the road and give it their all. At this point here, this is the Eagles' first playoff game of the season. It might sound premature, but that's how I feel right now. They need this win immediately. So I look for the Eagles to come out tonight on the road and take it to Green Bay because of desperation. A loss tonight, their season is over. So I look for them to come out and just play some good Philly ball. I look for Wentz to be on top of his game. And I look for them to pull out the win. It'll give them 2-2. And maybe they could turn their season around. Alshon Jeffries will be back. They'll still be without the services of Deshaun Jackson. But more importantly, they're going to play with desperation. I look for them to come out and smack Green Bay in the mouth tonight. Now, I failed to mention this in the last show, but how can I start this week without talking about Danny Dimes? Danny Dimes. Let me tell you something. He may have had last weekend one of the best games of the weekend. The fact that he came in, and some may say Eli Manning may be the greatest quarterback in Giants history. He won 2 Super Bowls. He was fearless. He never sat out. He took punishments. I mean, he was a gamer. And I can see why Giants fans love this guy, like this guy, because he was a gamer. He showed up every week, and he took chances. You know, and at the end of the day, some may struggle to put him in the Hall of Fame. I say he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, comes in there, replaces a legend in Giants history, goes on the road, and what better team to play? A team that's not that good, but pretty good. Tampa Bay. And come away with the game. I mean, 330-something yards passing, 2 touchdowns passing, 2 touchdown runs. I mean, you couldn't script it any better than that. My question is, what does he do for encore? Now that he got that first game off his back and out of the way, what does he do at MetLife this Sunday when the 0-3, talk about a team that's desperate? You talk about a team that's desperate? Yeah, I believe the Eagles are desperate because a loss tonight may cripple their chances of being in the playoffs. But a loss tonight on Sunday by the Washington Redskins, Jay Gruden, can basically kiss his job goodbye. So you're going to have a desperate coach at 0-3 going into MetLife, no Saquon Barkley, a rookie quarterback out of Duke that's coming off a sensational weekend. I'm sorry, Giants fans. Giants going down this weekend. They're going down this week, and I think Washington pulls out the win. Danny Dimes may play well, but without Saquon Barkley and the backfield, I think it's going to be challenging for the Giants. I think when you have a rookie quarterback, and the same goes for Sam Darnold, and that's why I was really gung-ho about the idea of Le'Veon Bell going to the Jets. I think when you have a young quarterback, to take pressure off of him, you need a stud running back in the backfield. And I think that if Saquon Barkley was playing this weekend, I'll have a different reaction towards this week's game. But right now, you're going to ask Danny Dimes not only to win the game, but pretty much do better than what he did last week as a debut because he has no help in the backfield. And this Washington Redskins team, like I said, they're going to be desperate. If they like their coach, they're going to play hard for him. And they know that a loss to this weekend to the Giants, even though it's on the road and to a rookie quarterback, Groot could be out of a job. He could be out of a job. So I look at this as being a tough game for Danny Dimes and the Giants. I have the Redskins going into MetLife and pulling off the upset. Or just pulling out the win. I don't see Redskins going 0-4. I don't see that. I think they get the win. So moving right along, there's 8 unbeaten teams. 8 unbeaten teams. One of them have a bye. The surprising San Francisco 49ers, they have a bye this week, so they'll remain unbeaten. But what teams will get their first loss this weekend? And I can tell you, I'll start with the New England-Buffalo game. There's no way Buffalo's beating New England. I know there's some New England players that's banged up, this and that, but no way Buffalo gets their go into first place by beating New England this weekend. I got New England easily winning that one. Detroit is playing Kansas City. Detroit has a tie on their record, but they don't have a loss on their record. I don't see them beating Kansas City. Pat Mahomes, have you heard me on the last show? He's the new Kobe Bryant of the league. And in the very near future, this league will be his. I don't see Detroit getting a win, even though they're at home against Kansas City. No, I don't see that. The Rams will remain unbeaten. They will win their game. And so those 3 teams, and along with San Francisco, will remain unbeaten. The teams that are undefeated right now that will suffer their first loss of the season, I talked about it. Green Bay. I believe Philly is going to beat Green Bay tonight. So Green Bay will get their first loss. Buffalo, I mentioned they're going to lose to New England. Detroit is going to lose to Kansas City. And that's right. New Orleans will beat Dallas Sunday night in New Orleans behind the efforts of Teddy Bridgewater. You know, I listen to a lot of Dallas fans. Oh, it ain't Drew Brees he's not playing, it's Teddy Bridgewater. Let me remind you, Teddy Bridgewater is not Geno Smith. They both came out of West Virginia. Teddy Bridgewater was en route to becoming a franchise quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings until he suffered the ACL. This guy can play. This guy can play. He didn't have a great game or anything that will stand out and knock you over last weekend. But anytime you can come off the pine and go into Seattle on your first start in like maybe 2 years, 3 years, whatever it's been, and get a win up in Seattle, and Russell Wilson threw for 400 yards, he's only getting his feet wet. His confidence is coming. Yeah, listen. New Orleans will beat Dallas Sunday night in New Orleans. You know, sure, Drew Brees is not there, but Kamara will be there. Kamara will be there. Michael Thomas, the highest paid receiver, he will be there. So yes, Dallas will get their first loss of the season come Sunday night in New Orleans, a place where it's just hard to win it. And last I looked, Sean Payton will be on the sidelines. So Dallas will get their first loss of the season. You know, Got a comment by Eddie. He says that are the Jets tanking already? No, they're not tanking already. This is typical Jets. This is typical Jets. Believe it or not, this is the first time they started the season 0-3 since 2003. This is just typical Jets. They go out there, they hire Adam Gase. What is Adam Gase's resume like? Does anybody know? Because last I remember, he did absolutely nothing in Miami. He gets on board, then some disagreement falls out. They fire the GM or the vice president of operations, one of those guys, and Adam Gase is like pretty much in charge. What has this guy done? I'll go on record. The Jets would be better with Rex Ryan right now. Adam Gase is flawed. He's done absolutely nothing. Nothing in Miami. And now he's in New York at MetLife for the Jets. That's a struggling franchise to begin with. And you bring this guy on? No, the Jets are not tanking. This is just typical Jets. They're not tanking. They have a future quarterback, Sam Darnold, at least they believe. So it's not like they're in line for Tua. I mean, unless there's some stud pass rusher that's coming out that maybe they're lining up for, but I don't think they're tanking. The Jets just have a flawed roster. It's Le'Veon Bell on offense, and that's it. They have no stud wide receiver. They have no stud tight end. The quarterback is not proven. He shows flashes. This is just typical Jets. Typical Jets. So you got some good matchups that's coming up this weekend. The one that I think that really has some implications, and believe it or not, I know it's week 4, but it could have some playoff implications. Cleveland going into Baltimore. I do think Pittsburgh get their first win against Cincinnati on Monday night, but I don't think Pittsburgh is going to be a factor in the playoffs this season. It don't seem like they have the urgency. But I do think Cleveland and Baltimore is going to fight it out for that division. I think that they probably need to win that division. I don't know if a wild card could come from that division. You're looking at Kansas City and San Diego probably winning playoff spots out west. Could Houston and possibly Indianapolis behind Jacoby Brissett get a wild card spot? I don't think a wild card spot comes from the East. I think it's just New England only. But this could have some playoff implication by head-to-head. So I think this is a very big game for both teams. Cleveland going into Baltimore, 2 young, hot quarterbacks. You got Baker Mayfield on one end, Lamar Jackson, Mike Vick 2.0. Some might think Baker Mayfield is Brett Favre 2.0. But you're talking about a good matchup. You got Baltimore, whose defense is really, really tough. So they'll be hard on those wide receivers. But it might come down to coaching. I'm not sold on Freddie Kitchen. He got the look of a young Andy Reid when he walks up and down the sidelines, but I don't know if he's proven yet. So Harbaugh is proven. He's a champion. I'm going to go with Baltimore on this one. Should be a good game. It should be well contested. Again, tiebreaker, playoff implications, head-to-head. This game here could be one that decides that. So I look for the winner of this game, take a little command and lead in the division for the playoffs. So I look for this Baltimore to win this game, especially at home. So that should be a good game. I mentioned Indianapolis. I'm just curious to see what Jacoby Brissett does. He was very impressive against Atlanta last week. Came out 16 for 16, 178 yards, and then secured the win. He tailed off in the second half. Who knows? Maybe it's by design. Maybe they ran the ball more. But at the end of the day, I'm curious to see what he does. This is a dangerous guy, a lot like Bridgewater. It ain't about wins and losses with him as it is. He's trying to be the opening day starter on this team next year. He's playing for a job. And when you're playing for a job and playing for job security and so forth, the wins and losses, they will add up. The wins will come. The guy's going to play smart. He's going to play well. He's going to play good. I'm curious to see how he finished the season. But right now, I have to take the Colts over the, I believe it's the Raiders that they play. No doubt about it. I'm taking them. I am taking them. But it should be a good week of football. I mean, right now, the buzz around town is, who's the number one quarterback in the league? Is Brady still the number one quarterback? I can answer that in two ways. Yes, because he's Brady. He's the GOAT. Until he retires, he's probably still the best quarterback in the game. But Pat Mahomes this guy's got to be the best player in the game. And so if he's the best player in the game, he should be the best quarterback in the game. But I get it. I get it with Brady. I mean, he hasn't thrown an interception. Neither has Pat Mahomes. They're both 3-0. Brady's going to be 4-0, and Kansas City's going to be 4-0 today, too. So, I mean, it's the year the quarterbacks. I look around the league, especially with the rules that they have in place now. Some of these quarterbacks are just putting up tremendous numbers. I mean, Dak can make a case that he's an MVP candidate with the numbers he's putting up, despite who he's playing. But you only can play who's in front of you. And last I remember, look, all of these players, all these teams are pro players. Are pro players. Are pro players. A little sad news to report. My New York Mets are officially eliminated out of the baseball playoffs. You know what? I didn't think they would get us down to this far in the season with a chance to make it to the playoffs. To see them at this point in the season and get eliminated with less than 5 games, it's actually a very good season for the Mets. They got some issues they got to work on. They need a relief pitcher. They must have had like 34 blown saves this year. I mean, if they could have just got back 5 of those, they would have been fine. Just 5 of those, they would be fine. I still think it's going to be Yankees and the Braves in the World Series. I think Major League Baseball would love to see Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series. But I think you're going to see Yankees and Braves. The Braves is a young, hotshot team with a lot of youth, a lot of energy, a lot of goodness on that. I just think that it's going to be the Yankees and the Braves in the World Series. I think the Braves is probably the best young team since the Chicago Cubs team that won the World Series. I think the Braves and the Yankees is going to pull it out. You're going to see them in the World Series this year. But kudos to the Mets. They took me down to the last 5 games of the season. All right. Saturday night. I talked about it earlier in the week. I'm going to talk about it again. If you're a boxing fan, get in front of the TV somewhere. Find where you can watch Errol Spence Jr. take on Shawn Porter. Errol Spence Jr. to me is climbing that ladder. If not, they are already, as pound for pound, the best boxer in the sport. The best boxer in the sport. I like Shawn Porter simply because he's a fighter that fights forward. He don't fight backwards. He's relentless. He doesn't give up. He throws a lot of punches. He takes punches, and he's fearless. I love him for that. I think he gets battered for 12 rounds. I think Errol Spence will win about 9 rounds. Porter will win about 3. I think it will be a very entertaining fight and a very good fight. Once again, if you're somewhere where you can watch this fight Saturday night, make sure you tune in. It's going to be a great fight. And again, if you haven't seen Errol Spence Jr., he is, right now, in my eyes, perhaps pound for pound, the best boxer in the sport. The best boxer in the sport. I mean, we just witnessed a good fight not too long ago with Keith Thurman and Pacquiao. But this is going to be one of those two. And the winner is probably going to look to take on Pacquiao or possibly Terrence Crawford. Another welterweight boxer that is tremendous. That is tremendous. So good fight coming up Saturday night. Don't miss that. If you're around somewhere where they're showing the fight, tune into that. And lastly, believe it or not, it's September 26th. We haven't even got to October. Monday is media day for the NBA. Can you believe it? We haven't even started Major League Baseball playoffs. And we're already talking about media day for the NBA. Now, those who know me, I'm a huge NBA fan. So that's fine with me. But I just think it's too soon. You could call it the LeBron rule because he claims that they play too many back-to-backs. So to eliminate the back-to-backs, they had to start the season earlier. But if you're a fan of baseball and a fan of basketball, this could compromise what you watch. Because we haven't even started the playoffs and we're already at media day. The first game is October 22nd. The World Series is not even going to begin. We're probably still going to be in the playoffs. Probably division round. Division championship round. I mean, unbelievable. I just think it's too soon. They need to push that back. NBA should start November 1st, Halloween night. I mean, let baseball breathe a little bit. Let them have their moment. Let them have their moment. But yeah, you got media day, and still my guy, Carmelo Anthony, is not with a team. It's not with a team. Listen, there's 30 teams in the league. 15 players to a team. That's 450 roster spots. Are you telling me that there is 450 players in the NBA right now, as we speak, better than Carmelo Anthony? I'll sit here and wait till you name all 450 players. In fact, a report came out 2-3 days ago that I caught wind of. There's 7 teams with an open roster spot. 7 teams with an open roster spot. And you mean to tell me that Carmelo can't fill one of those spots? What's going on here, guys? What's going on here, people? What has Carmelo done to not to have a job? What has Carmelo Anthony done to remain on the sidelines, unemployed, and wants to come back and play? Again, you cannot name 450 players in the league that's better than him. I go even a step further. There's 30 teams, 5 to the starting lineup, which makes 150 players that starts. There is not 150 starters in the league better than Carmelo Anthony as we speak right now. He's easily a top 75 player in the NBA right now. Why is this guy unemployed? Well, that's going to do it. Hope to get back at you sometime next week. Until then, peace and blessings. Yeah, enjoy the weekend games. Enjoy that fight. Have a safe weekend. And we'll do this again sometime soon. This is Chopping It Up with Ramel. Have a good night.